You're not worth $300. You're not worth $5. And you're not worth $150.
And you're worthless too!
Now this one? Maybe. Many games aren't worth the price that's asked of them, but I would argue that some games get pretty close. Here are 5 expensive RPGs that might just be worth the price we asked for them. If you agree that any of these games are worth this price, or maybe you disagree, make sure you let me know. I'm interested to hear what people have to say about this. Super Mario RPG is stellar. It combines the familiar world of the Super Mario series with the gameplay mechanics of a role-playing game. This creates a unique and enjoyable experience for players, particularly those who are fans of the Mario universe. One of the things that makes Super Mario RPG so worth that expensive price is the combat system. The game uses a turn-based combat system which, like any RPG, allows players to strategically plan their attacks and use special abilities to defeat enemies. To accompany the standard fare turn-based RPG mechanics, players can use timed attacks to do some extra damage to their enemies. They can also do this to prevent damage to themselves. It is wildly satisfying to do this in combat. It's really surprising. Beating the absolute tarnation out of enemies with a frying pan, a froggy stick, some cymbals, or a chain chomp it feels so good. This keeps the combat super engaging. It's fast-paced and it's exciting, and the various enemies and bosses provide a good challenge without it becoming too daunting. Another aspect of the game that is fun is the character customization. As players progress through the game, like most RPGs, they can collect various items and equipment that can be used to improve their character's stats and abilities, just like any other standard fare equipment again. When characters level up, however, they are granted the opportunity for bonus stats, which allows players to tailor their characters to their preferred playstyle and create unique and powerful party members. I usually go with POW over and over because I just like to beat people.
Whoa, easy, that's a little violent.
Additionally, the game is full of humorous moments and references to the Super Mario series that still stand the test of time. This adds a lighthearted and enjoyable tone to the game, bringing Bowser to the same team as Mario for the first time in video game history, and giving us an epic story that is satisfying, but never takes itself too seriously. Overall, Super Mario RPG is simply one of the funnest turn-based RPGs out there, and it might very well be worth the $90 price tag for a loose cart and over $300 price tag for a complete in-box copy. It's super good. Earthbound. Earthbound is a unique RPG for the Super Nintendo set in a modern-day world instead of a fantasy or sci-fi setting like Final Fantasy or Phantasy Star of its day. This sets it apart from most other RPGs at the time, which were typically set in those medieval or futuristic worlds. Another unique aspect about Earthbound is its offbeat sense of humor. The game is filled with quirky characters and bizarre enemies, and the dialogue is often humorous and self-aware. I can still get many laugh-out-loud moments out of the game, even after years and repeats of playing it. The game is crafted with a distinct and memorable personality that sets it apart from other RPGs. Others have tried to replicate it, but many have failed and few have come close. Additionally, Earthbound features a unique combat system that is based on the character's emotion. Different emotions can affect the character's stats and abilities in battle, which adds an interesting layer of strategy to the game. The scrolling HP bar can come in handy at times, and the weird use of items like rulers in battle to affect enemies is funny, but also competently implemented. It's all fun in games until Ness gets homesick thinking about his mom and gets a whiff of whatever you named your favorite food and misses a turn.
Mother!
Overall, Earthbound's unique setting, the humor, the combat system make it a standout game for the Super Nintendo. It offers a refreshing change of pace from the more traditional fantasy and sci-fi RPGs of the time. At over $350 for a loose cart at the time of this recording, it's steep. Now it's about $2,000 for a complete copy. I can't justify its gameplay is that good, but I'm telling you, it's pretty close. It really is pretty close. There's a reason this game goes for so much, and it's not just rarity. This is a gem of a game that has earned its recognition, cult status, and appreciation over the years. Chrono Trigger. Chrono Trigger is a dark fantasy RPG. No. Chrono Trigger is a hidden gem. Chrono Trigger is you know what? Chrono Trigger is a great game. It's fantastic. It's so freaking good. I wish it wasn't so good. Maybe the price would come down. Chrono Trigger is absolutely incredible from beginning to end. While I played it around its release, I was pretty young and didn't understand everything that was going on at the time in the plot. Years later, when I would finally play through it to completion, I tried to temper my expectations and find issues with the game. I tried not to buy into the hype, but daggone, this is one of the finest RPGs and finest games ever created. ever created. The pacing of this game, much like a lot of the other games on this list, is absolutely phenomenal. There's plenty of side quest stuff to do, there's multiple endings and enjoyment to be found over and over, play after play, but it doesn't overstay its welcome at any point. It's great. One of the most incredible things about Chrono Trigger is its story. The game follows a group of heroes who travel through time to prevent a global catastrophe. The story is well written, full of twists and turns, and the characters are well developed and likable. I mean, they're likable enough that you'll want to prevent their world from ending, so it's pretty good, I would argue. The story is uniquely compelling for the time and context of its release, and it still stands the test of time to this very day. In terms of gameplay, Chrono Trigger offers a unique and engaging combat system that combines elements of turn-based and real-time combat. This allows players to strategically plan their attacks and abilities, while also requiring quick reflexes in battle. Enemies are visible in the field, which is absolutely always welcomed, right? And the battles are quickly entered and exited, which too is very welcome. I despise RPGs where it takes 30 seconds to get into the battle and like 30 seconds to get out. That's ridiculous. The characters can combine their powers to create some incredibly powerful and beautiful spells as well, which I remember being blown away by back in the day, and honestly I'm still impressed with it today. While it's certainly one part science fiction and one part fantasy, it's all exciting and fun. The time-traveling aspect of the game allows players to visit a variety of different time periods, each with its own distinct look and feel, making choices in each timeline that will invariably affect the endgame. It's exciting to see how the land changes from BC to the future, but it also creates a sense of urgency for the heroes as they witness the ravages that take place should they fail. Overall, Chrono Trigger is an incredible game that offers a deep and engaging story, engaging gameplay mechanics, and a unique setting. While it's available in many iterations, one go at this game and you're sure to start scouring eBay and local video game shops in hopes of finding a copy for a reasonable price. Even at over $200 for the original SNES cartridge and getting closer and closer to $1,000 for a boxed copy, I would argue you wouldn't regret this purchase. Reasonably, you could consider buying 3 new-gen games at launch, or buy this game and be guaranteed that you're playing one of the best RPGs that have ever been created. Think about that. Suikoden 2. This game features a large cast of characters, each with their own unique abilities and personalities. As players progress through the game, they can recruit over 100 characters to join their party, adding depth and variety to the gameplay. Impressive variety. One of the things that makes Suikoden worth the price is its story. The game follows the protagonist, a young warrior, as he becomes embroiled in a conflict between 2 rival nations. The basis of the story is political intrigue, which was not new to gaming at the time, obviously, but it's aptly pinned here. It's so good.
When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die.
We also get to see yet another psychopathic villain who pushes the limits of what we accepted at the time. The story is well written and full of twists and turns, and the characters are well developed and likable. And that's saying a lot for a game that has over, again, 100 playable characters. What? In terms of gameplay, Suikoden offers a combat system that is standard attack, defend, magic sort of fare, but that doesn't make it bad by any stretch of the imagination. There are 6 characters in a battle at a time, which is pretty neat, honestly, and they all attack in quick succession. This is awesome. The game actually respects your time in combat by not making grandiose animations for simple attacks and entering and exiting battle, and I totally appreciate that. This was not always the norm for games back then. The boss battles are often large on scale and may include both 2D and 3D elements which stand the test of time. It is a beautiful combination of graphics here. It is an absolutely expensive RPG. There's just no denying that. It's expensive. It costs a lot of money. There's an HD remake coming out soon as of the making of this video, so I would highly recommend that. But again, I'm telling you, like Chrono Trigger, I'd almost guarantee if you enjoy Suikoden 2 as much as most people do, you're going to start selling blood plasma or something to save up and buy this $250 game just to have it in your collection. And I would argue that it's worth it.
You're right about that, Mickey. Now, why don't you put all that money here in this bag?
Lunar, Silver Star Story complete. Honestly, what makes this game worth so much money is probably that excellent packaging coupled with a strong game. The game came with an art book and a cloth map, a beautiful box, and the soundtrack and disc for the making of this version of Lunar from Working Designs. Yes, Working Designs. That's why it's expensive. The soundtrack is a banger as the music absolutely rocks. I actually ended up listening to the CD back in the day on my CD player when I wasn't playing the game. Whew. That's some nostalgia. The game itself isn't terribly long, but that's perfectly fine. It's not going to waste your time. The art is beautiful and bright. The cutscenes and characters are unforgettable, despite it being a pretty standard fare story for RPG. The thing about the story is that it's a fantastic telling of this chosen hero story. Honestly, it sort of reminds me of The Watchmen, since it's like old heroes retire and new heroes take their place sort of setup. Pretty cool.
Now, we finally have the power to finish the job.
The character models in pixel art are fantastic. The cutscenes are second to none for the PS1, and the humor associated with this company is certainly in here. Also, there's some pretty neat hidden stuff. These bromides are some scantily clad or suggestive pics of the characters in the game. Fan service at its best, baby. Lunar Silver Star Story Complete for the PS1 is a pretty classic RPG, with combat that doesn't diverge too far from the standard turn-based battle system. The only real change from a standard system is that characters basically get a set amount of moves per turn. A character on auto attack will move toward a selected enemy and then attack if it's close enough. If they're close enough and have more moves available, they continue to beat on that enemy until it's dead, and then they move on to another enemy. Again, very satisfying to absolutely just mollywop something, just a dunk.
Where'd you go, Psycho Boy?
I felt like destroying something beautiful.
Maybe it's not worth $150, you'll say. Pixel Bro, that's crazy. That's a lot of money. But I'd argue it's getting pretty close to it. It's good. It's really good. I was interested in shooting this video and discussing this idea because of the conversations about how expensive retro games are and how prices of new games are up to about $70. I thought sometimes it might be better to save for an old game that we know is good instead of gambling on a pre-order. What do you guys think? Do you think there's other games out there that are worth more than their retail value? If this is the sort of stuff that tickles your pickle, and you like to think about these sort of things, I'd encourage you to subscribe to the channel. I enjoy making videos like this. I enjoy talking about these sort of things with other collectors. What do you guys think? Are there any other games out there that you would argue were worth more than their retail value? Are there other expensive games out there that might actually be worth that insane price tag that we put on them? Let me know. Video game discourse, it's important. Let's continue.